Welcome in to the Late Night Gamecocks show. Today is November 5th, 2025. My name is Matt Anderson, and joining me, as always, is Alex Jones of thebigspur.com. Alex, you finally have a bye week from football coverage after back-to-back road trips. How are you going to spend your weekend?
Probably the same way I spent that first bye week, just sitting there watching football all day. But now on Saturdays, you got some basketball to watch too, so it's going to be a full Saturday. But we've kind of entered that crazy season where football and basketball are running at the same time, so we got a lot to talk about tonight.
Yeah, we definitely do. And this weekend I'll be excited to not have to watch Gamecock football. Although, look, come next Saturday, I'm going to be right back in and locked into my TV. I'm happy that it's an 11 o'clock game. Alex, are you headed to Aggie Land for that one?
I am not. I will not be there for that.
Okay, well, whew, Alex, that would be a heck of a haul.
Yeah. I went there, what would that have been, 2 years ago for the first time. It was that noon game, Carol, and I got really blown out in that one. We'll see what happens in this one, but it's going to be A&M's a pretty good team.
Yeah, and if you missed it, Texas A&M is number 3 in the college football playoff, but whatever rankings, whatever they're calling it. If the season ended today, they would be number 3 in the country and have a first-round bye. So the Gamecocks have their work cut out for them, but that's a topic for another night, Alex. It's not a topic for tonight. So we're not going to be talking much Gamecock football. There is some additional fallout of Mike Shula being let go, fired, whatever you want to call it, as the offensive coordinator at South Carolina. So we will have some fallout there. Some more information's come out. If you missed it, Sunday night on Rooster Rant, Alex, JC, and myself went for about an hour and 45 minutes. So if you're just checking into this podcast tonight, maybe you missed the Sunday night show. We are a show, or we're live on YouTube every Sunday during football season and every Wednesday for the rest of our lives, Alex. But go back and listen to it. And if you need to, get it in chunks, it's a lot easier to do the Chief Sports app or go on podcast on Apple or Spotify, and you can find it there. But men's and women's basketball, as we talked about at the top, has kicked off. We have 2 games to talk about. We're going to look around the SEC and talk a little bit of SEC basketball, maybe what we expect from the rest of the conference this year. And then college football playoff conversation. We don't have Gamecock football to talk about tonight, so we will talk a little bit of college football playoffs. I want to get Alex's our takes on the rankings, and then we'll see if we have a favorite. We'll bring on Justin Lyles, Jordan's brother, but Justin Lyles from sportscapvalue.com. And maybe he has some futures for us. Obviously there's a lot of football that we're going to enjoy this weekend. So it'll be fun. And then we'll get to best bets. I'm lukewarm excited about this one.
I think we can pass that this week.
Yeah. I'm not going to spoil it. I'm not going to bury the lead, but I did have a slightly better week than Alex did last week. But with that being said, let's get into the Late Night Gamecock show.
Gonna turn on the late night show, hear what's going down in Cooltown. I said I'm turning on late night show. Yeah, my cocks will let me down.
So, Alex, we have a little bit more fallout from Mike Shula. In case you've been living under a rock, you probably know that Mike Shula is no longer the offensive coordinator at South Carolina. On Sunday, JC broke that it was going to be kind of a tag team approach with offensive line coach, former tight ends coach Sean Elliott, and wide receiver coach Mike Furry being co-offensive coordinators. Shane Beamer did not say that explicitly, but that was the buzz in the building behind the scenes. And then today, I guess Shane Beamer didn't have a press conference this week. So if you were looking for it like I was, there was no press conference because I was really hoping there'd be a lot of questions that would be asked. But there was a coach's teleconference, and Hale McGranahan from thebigspur.com did get in a question for Shane Beamer. And Alex, it's going to be Mike Furry, who's the primary play caller. Let's get your take on that, and then I'm sure I'll chime in with some thoughts as well.
Yeah, that's probably, not too much of a surprise for me. I figured that was the route it was going to go. It's the guy who, has been a play caller before, be it, at Limestone, but had a lot of success as a play caller at Limestone. And it's going to be interesting to kind of see just from I think a lot of talk is going to be like, what's the playbook going to look like? And I think, you have to imagine it's going to be a smaller type of playbook, but it's hard to kind of completely put in a new set of plays. But I think we said this on Sunday night and other shows as well. But what the difference could be, for it to be a good thing for South Carolina is when those plays are called. Some of these 3rd and 1 short yardage types of things. That's what I'm interested to see, and I'm interested to see just from a collaborative approach when they're putting that game plan together, what all kind of different tweaks and things like that they put in this week.
Yeah, honestly, Alex, I think it makes the most sense. Mm-hmm. We know that Mike Furry did call plays at Limestone when he was the head coach. Mike Furry has experience in the NFL, actually, as a wide receiver and defensive back. From talking to folks around the Limestone program when he was there, no, I didn't follow it that closely. But I'm picking up some chatter. He was a play caller. It was probably a little bit more fast-paced and a little bit more passing than what Gamecock fans are accustomed to right now. And for me, Alex, I think, look, Sean Elliott has enough on his plate right now. When I guess he's been the offensive line coach now, 3 games, Alex, post LSU. So you have Oklahoma, Alabama, and then Ole Miss. Talk about a gauntlet right there. But I think the offensive line has clearly shown improvement under Sean Elliott. Still not perfect. We knew they weren't going to be perfect. But when you think about what he has on his plate, look, it's going to be collaborative. We've talked about it. Sean Elliott has always had, dating back to his time with Spurrier, App State, Georgia State, he's always kind of had a feel for, hey, right time, right call for this run play. And when you know that maybe shorten the playbook up a little bit, maybe it gets a little smaller and say, hey, this is what my offensive line can block. And then you have Mike Furry, who I said into a text to you earlier, Alex, he knows what his wide receivers can do. He's been the wide receivers coach. So he knows what routes they're good at. He knows what routes they like to run, and he knows what they're not good at. So if it's me, and look, I've never called a single play in my life outside of the Xbox, but you have to think that it's going to be, hey, Lenore, here's the protections. Sean Elliott, Mike Furry sitting in an office with Lenore Sellers. Here are the protections. Here's what we're going to call. What do you feel good about? What do you not feel good about? And I think it really needs to be a situation where it's maybe, 2 reads and then look, you got to go. And no more east to west. It's north south. You got to, lower your shoulder and you got to get these yards because as Gamecock fans know, every yard has been a challenge this season.
Yeah, I think the biggest thing Mike Furry, Sean Elliott, and that staff's got to do, and we said it Sunday night, is just they've got to get Lenore's confidence back up to where it was post-2024 and really kind of some parts of the beginning of the season. And I think a lot of that can go into what you're talking about with some of the route things, some of the shorter type of routes, just early getting him into the flow of the game and then kind of countering what some of these defenses are doing where they're really just keying in on Lenore's being able to run the ball and stopping him. So but I said earlier, I'm really interested to see just from a run game what happens, just because you've seen some tweaks already, even with Sean Elliott being more involved with some of the things they do with their tight ends, where they're moving them kind of in line, sitting into those inside gaps, where it's kind of helped a little bit too. So then also kind of, I'm interested to see, I don't know how much this will change, but just from a personnel standpoint, do some guys get some more reps either that running back. Does a Matt Fuller continue to get more reps? Does a Donovan Murphy, those types of guys, Jared Brown, Mazio Bennett receiver, those guys get some more reps? So there's a lot of questions that are going to have to be answered kind of through this bye week. And it does feel like it comes, obviously you don't want this type of situation to happen, but you want to have this happen in a bye week just so you have pretty much 2 full weeks to get things figured out.
Yeah, and you're really talking about, what is it, Alex? Now it'll be 4 weeks of practice with Sean Elliott in the offensive line. You should see some more improvement after 4 weeks. Look, is it a tough spot to be in for Sean Elliott and Mike Furrey? Yeah, but at the same time, they've been in a tough position this entire season. So if anything, it should be easier. The opponent is very difficult, but Clayton White's defense, I think, has been largely great this year. So any kind of improvement on offense will be a sight for sore eyes for Gamecock fans. So as EXO said in the chat box, no one can ruin our Saturday. That's right. So we're going to quit talking about football for a little bit, and we're going to move over to basketball. We'll start with the women, Alex, and the women. I did not get to watch any of this game. I was one of the people that got caught up in the YouTube TV, Disney stuff.
Same.
And I just, for the life of me, could not figure out how to get my 5-day subscription of DirecTV stream to connect instead of trying to connect to my YouTube. So I didn't get to watch any of this game, but I was watching the box score. I was looking at how the game flowed. I do think it was pretty nice that Don Staley had a former assistant coach come, and Don Staley's always been great about that, giving her former assistant coaches an opportunity. And look, he knew what he was getting into when he walked into Colonial Life Arena. There were 15,000 people, I think, in the building that night. If you can go by what the box office says, the Lady Gamecocks, the women Gamecocks won 94-54. If you kind of look at the first quarter, it was 29-10, then 31-21, 19-16, 15-7. The game was in hand early. One of the things that I was really going to pay close attention to if I could watch the game was how they looked without Chloe Kitts, because Chloe Kitts has been an anchor in the starting lineup the last 2 years, and she played a decent amount as a freshman, enough to become a household name. But I don't think the Gamecocks really missed a beat, Alex. You're looking at this, they were 9 of 19 from the three-point line. Those are great numbers. 34-57 from the field. So they shot 60% in the game. They out-rebounded their opponent 38-31. You probably would have liked to see some more rebounds there, maybe a bigger margin. But I don't think at the end of the day that's going to be a problem going forward. And you had, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. All 5 Gamecock starters scored in double figures, led by Tania Latson, 20 points, 1 of 2 from 3. Like someone said here in the chat box, Bender, Tessa and Tania, greater than any other backcourt in America. I haven't seen all the other teams yet, but just on the surface, I would agree with you. And that's been one thing that I don't want to say has plagued Dawn Staley, because look at her track record of success. But when you have excellent guard play and you have guards that can make threes, Tessa was 3 for 6. Raven Johnson was 3 for 5. Tania Latson 1 for 2. So you shot over 50% from those 3 guards right there. And then Joyce Edwards still, got five rebounds, 13 points. I think she could even be a little bit better. But you had 9 Gamecocks that played at least 10 minutes in the game. That's a good thing.
Yeah.
And looking forward, Alex, this women's team plays Bowling Green this Saturday, then Clemson at home. I think that'll be another bloodbath. And then the big game is going to be against Southern Cal on a neutral court here in about 2 weeks' time. And then you have Duke. I think Duke actually lost on opening day. They were playing another top 10 team or top 20 team. They lost that. So you have Duke and Louisville, but it looks like this is another Gamecock team for Don Staley that's going to probably run through the non-con pretty easily.
Yeah, I mean, they just basically against Grand Canyon took care of business. I mean, I think you mentioned Tania Latson with the 20 points, but Raven Johnson was pretty awesome too. 11 points, 8 rebounds, 7 assists, like a near triple-double there, and then 3 steals to throw in there too. And they're just really, efficient too from the field. You mentioned the 59%, but Raven Johnson was 4 of 6, Latson was 7 of 10. Medina Okot was 4 or 5. Like, it was just a really efficient night. And and you mentioned it too, just some of the depth that they showed in that game too, with 4 or 9 players getting into double figure minutes. So that's about, for an opening game, that's about what you wanted to see from that team. You kind of figured they were going to go out there and take care of business, but you want to see some certain things that were getting it going. And I thought the guard play was really good. And you got another former assistant coach coming in next on Friday with Fred Schmiel with Bowling Green. So that's going to be interesting to watch. But then you really kind of get into your schedule there. So that was just a good opening night victory for South Carolina, and something that you really just expect them to go out there and take care of business.
Yeah, it's the flagship program right now for Gamecock athletics. And look, I don't think it'll be long before they're number 1 in the country. And I don't think UConn's as good as they were last year. Maybe UConn slips, but I think the Gamecocks are going to be right up there with everybody else. Turning our attention, Alex, to the men's game. You were there last night. I watched it on TV. Final score was 91-72, but it felt like the game felt like the margin of victory was a lot more than that.
Yeah.
Gamecocks kind of didn't really score a lot in the last 10 minutes ish, I guess you want to say. But love seeing a couple different things in this game, Alex. For starters, 46 points in the first half, 45 points in the second half. So 91 points. I know it was against North Carolina A&T, but shooting 14 of 32 from 3. I love the fact that the Gamecocks had 23 assists on 31 made baskets. That is Lamont Paris basketball. That is the ball is moving. You're taking your shots when you're open. You had, let's count them up, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 different Gamecocks made a 3-point basket last night. That's something that I don't think we saw at all last year. Actually, I don't think there was a game when, correct me if I'm wrong, Alex, I'm probably wrong, but there weren't many games where you had more than 3 players in the game making a 3-pointer.
I mean, I'm thinking back to who it would have been last year, maybe Jacoby Wright, Jamari Thomas, and
Morris.
Yeah, Morris maybe, but I mean, it's just you mentioned, completely different type of team and more of what Lamont Paris wants. And you saw how they shot in the NC State exhibition, and going into last night, you wanted to see them do it again to make sure they could do it consistently. And that's going to be kind of the storyline for the next few games as well. But I mean, not only from a shooting perspective were they really good, but you mentioned like they moved the ball extremely well. Like the ball wasn't sticking in one spot, which is another issue last year. I mean, I wrote about it on the site today that you had 23 assists on 31 made baskets, and every player that played, which they pretty much went everybody playing last night, had at least 1 assist. And Eli Ellis had 5 assists, and he had Michi in there with 4, and Mike Schraub Johnson with 3. But kind of sticking with the shooting part of this right now, like Norton Capich was a guy that really kind of stood out early on just because he has a really kind of a sweet stroke from the 3-point line. It was pretty pure. And you kind of knew what Michi could do from the 3-point line. But I thought you saw a lot of really good things from that game last night. And some things you still kind of have maybe some questions about for this team, maybe some post defense types of stuff. But I thought you did see a little bit of some good things from Jordan Butler last night. You saw Crease knock down the 3-pointer, but Jordan Butler had some of those like aggressive type of moments where you saw him drive the paint and draw a foul or those types of things. So they're going to need one of those two probably to kind of give them something once SEC play comes around from a defensive perspective. But I'll let you know, a lot to build on last night. The score is a lot closer than it really was in that game. I think South Carolina had it 80-52 after Kobe knocks his back-to-back threes in that game. And really, I don't want to say let off the gas, but I think, kind of just they're rotating so much in that game, and especially at that point, they started really rotating at that point. So another one kind of we talked about with the women's team, like just taking care of business, and that's what you want to see them do.
Yeah, I agree. One of the big talking points on the bigspur.com and social media and everywhere else is who's the point guard of this team. I still want to see what happens when a team full court presses them. I would like to see that in the non-con early if we can.
You saw it a little bit last night, but I think it was more just kind of a slow you down press, not a more like trying to get the ball type of press. But yeah, to your point, I mean, that is still something. I mean, they handled it pretty well last night for what North Carolina A&T was throwing at them, but there's going to be more levels to that are going to come.
Yeah, and I've seen people say, well, Michi's not a point guard. Look, Michi has great assist numbers. The big thing for any Lamont Paris offense when you have the shooters that he had 2 years ago, at least the guys that keep you honest 2 years ago, and the shooters that you have this year, is you got to get the ball past half court and you can't turn the ball over. I thought the Gamecocks had of their 13 turnovers, probably 3, 4, 5 of them were just, lack of awareness, for
Yeah.
lack of a better term. So I'm not going to harp too much on it right now. I do think there were coachable moments in this game. Lamont Paris is going to be yelling at his players to get back on defense after scoring
Yeah.
because, if you had the Gamecocks, and look, I didn't bet on this game, but if you had the Gamecocks minus the 22.5, 23.5 point line, there were a number of buckets that only happened because South Carolina didn't get back. Overall takes, I thought Mike Sharpjumps looked exactly what I thought he would look like. He did have that nice dunk on a pass. I think it was from Michi. Norden Kapik stepping out, knocked down a three. I posted on the Big Spread last night. Maybe he can be that BJ Mack 2.0, being able to step out, body down low. I know he plays really, really hard, but he doesn't have the bulk that BJ Mack did. But at the same time, BJ Mack's bulk kind of limited him in the paint some. Kobe Knox, I thought, played pretty well. Really, the whole team did. I was very impressed with Eli Ellis. He's one of those guys that's a threat to score anytime he touches the ball, and he demanded attention last night, and that helped him get 5 assists to lead the team. So, looking ahead on the men's side, they play Southern Miss this weekend, and Southern Miss, not a team I would write home about, but it's going to be a step up from North Carolina A&T, that's for sure. And then you have PC, Radford, and then you go to Greenbrier to play Butler, Northwestern. And then, you got Virginia Tech and Clemson. Those are the 4 games. Butler, Northwestern, Virginia Tech, and Clemson, which I think you're going to know a heck of a lot more about this team once you get to those games in the schedule. And I still think the Gamecocks have every opportunity to potentially run the table in the non-con, maybe 1 or 2 losses, and that's going to set you up for SEC play. SEC, Auburn had a pretty big scare. I think that was against Bethune-Cookman, Alex?
Yeah.
Is that?
Yeah.
Yeah. So, Alex sent me a text. Go ahead.
Yeah, that was a pretty wild ending to that game. Like they had Auburn pretty much looked like they'd won it, and then Bethune-Cookman shot up a half-court shot to tie it, and Auburn fouled them on it. We'll see what Auburn's going to be this year. They not to dive too much into, but they lost a lot off of last year's team, and it was kind of a little scary there for them in the first one.
Yeah, outside of that, most SEC teams essentially took care of business. You did have the defending national champion Florida Gators falling to Arizona on a neutral court. That was a trap game for Florida. I think that Florida is still going to be a really good team this year, but Arizona is a pretty daggone good team too. And Koa Pete, what a sensational freshman he is. He's kind of like the Cam Boozer kid that Duke has, a little bit undersized, but just strong and powerful and can play basketball.
It's going to be a really good freshman class this year.
Yeah, probably a little bit underrated. And then last night, the aforementioned Duke Blue Devils took care of Texas by 15. Texas actually had a 1-point lead in that game. Alex, I don't know if you watched it. I tried to watch it, but I love Dick Vitale. Absolutely love him. I'm so glad he got celebrated last night. But the court they played on was soul sucking. I mean, it was hard to watch. I couldn't really do it. I ended up just turning it off at halftime because I was like, this is hurting my eyes and making me more tired.
I wanted to watch it, post game last night. They had it up on the TV in there, and then I'm a YouTube TVer, so I can't watch anything right now. So I didn't whenever I got home, I couldn't turn it on. But that was one game I was interested to see. And real quick, back to the Carolina game, I was going to ask you a question about what you thought about from a rebounding perspective last night. Like we've kind of talked about, I think the team's going to be a team type of rebounding team, and I think you really saw that last night. I mean, you had 3 guys with 5 rebounds, including Michi Johnson, and then Eli Ellis had in 2 as well. Like I think it's just going to be a team approach from a rebounding perspective. I think you're going to continue to see those 7-footers with Kreist and Jordan continue to get involved, but that was a little bit of an encouraging sign to it. Again, like the competition is going to continue to increase there from a pros perspective, but to see that many players get involved, I think you're seeing kind of the philosophy there.
Yeah, I mean, if I'm putting my coach hat on, I'm going to be a little nitpicky on the rebound. A lot of those rebounds were missed shots that kind of came to a Gamecock.
Yeah.
I would like to see them box out a little bit better. They're going to have to box out better than they did last night.
Yeah.
mainly because if you're going to be playing better athletes, and when the ball might bounce to you, but someone else's arms might be longer, they might be able to jump higher, they might be faster. I would like to see some better boxing out, but I think a lot of that too was, I wouldn't say the Gamecocks played tremendous defense last night, but North Carolina A&T missed a lot of shots, and that's going to help those rebounding numbers. But yeah, 39 rebounds. I mean, those stats count. It doesn't matter how you get the rebound. So I'm going to say it wasn't a perfect first game. There's definitely a lot of things that need to happen, but it was promising for sure. So like we said, we're going to talk probably a little bit more about the SEC next week. And we're waiting to have a special guest. I know we said we were going to do it this past week, but we are waiting to have a special guest there. So Alex, the two guys that are redshirting, EJ Walker, I see EXO here in the chat, put something in here. I did not know about Cam redshirting prior to last night. I had suspicions that EJ Walker would be redshirting when he didn't play at all against NC State. I know he was dressed out for NC State. I know Cam was dressed out for NC State.
Mm-hmm.
But South Carolina played 10 guys before Eli Sparkman got into the game. And I think it was a situation where those truly were 11 and 12 on the bench. And look, I've seen speculation. Oh, this means Cam's going to transfer. He might. He went into the transfer portal last year. Who knows? But, for what that young man probably needs is just maybe some time away from basketball, like playing in a game, pressure, all of that. There's nothing wrong with redshirting at all.
Yeah.
It's kind of a lost art in college basketball nowadays, but if he needs it, take it. Same thing with EJ Walker.
Yeah, I was interested to see what the red shirts were going to look like for South Carolina this team, especially from a freshman perspective. Like, I think you kind of thought EJ Walker could be, like, they really like him and think he's got a bright future, but thought he could be one. And obviously, he is playing the red shirt. And then with Cam, like, I think, and my mom Paris mentioned this last night when he was asked about it, and when he confirmed they're going to play in the red shirt. Kind of just talked about it now, and now he can kind of take advantage of some of the opportunities he's going to get on the scout team, where he's going to kind of be their guy, where sometimes he's going to be a catch and shoot guy, sometimes he's going to be a dribble drive guy, things that he can kind of help kind of develop his game while he's not trying to get ready for a game or for each Tuesday game, Wednesday, Saturday game. So it can be beneficial for him. And I wasn't too surprised about the red shirts there. Maybe Cam was a little bit surprising there, just because you don't see that too often with those sophomore or second year guy doing that. But I thought another interesting thing in that game was you saw Grant Polk and Hayden Simeon, two freshmen, also get a lot of minutes in there too. And so that was really interesting to see. But not too surprised there from a red shirt perspective.
Yeah. Look, it was hard for me to get EJ Walker, Cam, and Grant Polk into the rotation this year. I mean, all off season, all summer. As soon as everything was finalized, I started doing my rotations, and it just honestly it makes sense. So Alex, we're gonna move on from basketball here. I do want to make a slight correction. The Gamecock women play Bowling Green Friday night, mm-hmm. Not Saturday night. Looking at days, and I just looked at the calendar. Sometimes those games blend together, or the days blend together, at least. I have to always, when I start the show, say it's November 5th. I look in the bottom right-hand corner.
Yeah, and how about for the Southern Miss game on Sunday? It's going to be on SEC Network, and Rodney Terry is going to be on the call, former Texas head coach.
Oh, that's pretty cool. That's just definitely pretty cool. So, Alex, moving on to the college football playoffs, I don't think – personally, I wasn't shocked by anybody being there. I think Ohio State was clearly going to be number one, although I could make a case for Indiana, and I never thought that would come out of my mouth. But if you missed it, you have Ohio State 1, Indiana 2, Texas A&M 3, Alabama 4, Georgia 5, 6 Ole Miss, 7 BYU, 8 Texas Tech, 9 Oregon, 10 Notre Dame, 11 Texas, and 12 Oklahoma. I guess the one thing that was a little bit surprising to me was Texas being as high as they are. Mm-hmm. And look, that top 12 I just listed isn't necessarily the 12 that are going to be in the playoff, because you do have conference champions. So you look at it, Virginia, Memphis, Texas Tech, BYU are all conference champions outside of the SEC and the Big Ten. So Alex, do you have any complaints about it? Do you think anybody can work their way in? What are your thoughts?
Yeah, you kind of mentioned the ones that I was thinking. Texas was a little bit high. Like, I don't think anything in the top 10 really surprised me. Figured Ohio State was going to be one. I think you can probably make a case for Vanderbilt and Georgia Tech to maybe be a little bit higher too. But there's also a lot of time for all that to kind of get sorted out. But I didn't have too many complaints other than I think Texas was probably being that high was probably my top complaint from this.
Yeah, and you look at it, Alex, you have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. 6 of the top 12 is the SEC. And I know that every game from here is, what the announcers say, a playoff game. It's win and stay in, all of that kind of stuff. And some of these teams will play against each other, and the winner on the field will determine if they get to the college football playoff or not. But to me, it just means it tells me that last year's playoff selection committee just missed the mark. If you have 6 SEC teams in the top 12, I think that last year there were 6 deserving of the top 12. I don't remember how it all shook out. I think it was like maybe 5 in the top 12, maybe 4 in the top 12 after everything was said and done. Notre Dame at 6-2. Golly, Notre Dame, you lost to Miami and you lost to A&M, and those losses were looking like some of the best losses in the country, and we're going to keep you in. I don't think that Notre Dame is safe right now. I think other teams can pass them, and Miami is doing them no favors right now. But, it's this time of year. I mean, just looking at the 25 up, Tennessee, Pittsburgh, Washington, Missouri, Michigan, Iowa, Southern Cal, Miami. That's kind of where I think you only have 18 teams that are still viable for the college football playoff. Maybe Miami can get in if they go on a run, get hot, win the ACC championship, but they got to jump some teams. Oklahoma's that sneaky team for me right now because they still have a tough schedule to end the year. And I can see Oklahoma jumping folks. Texas at 11, like we talked about. A lot of credit for beating Vanderbilt and almost blowing that game. A lot of credit because that is not the Texas team we've seen all year.
Yeah, I mean, that game, it was pretty wild watching that one at Ole Miss. Like, I mean, it looked like Vanderbilt's out of that one, but they came back. I'm just looking through to see from a 15 to 20 perspective who can kind of surprise a little bit. I mentioned Vanderbilt and Georgia Tech. Like, Georgia Tech being 8-1, like, I think, just want to look at their schedule here moving forward to see what type of opportunities they have. But I think they got a strong chance to get to the ACC championship game. And if you do that, like, I think, they got a shot. And obviously that Georgia game at the end of the season is going to be huge for them just for, kind of a strength of schedule type of thing too. So you saw how close and how crazy that game was between those two last year. So I'm kind of keeping my eye on Georgia Tech. They're having a really good year. Going to see what Brent Key does at the end of the season to stay at Georgia Tech because I think he's going to be in for a lot of these open jobs that it's going to be in a crazy coaching market.
Yeah, I mean, honestly, I might have Georgia Tech. It's crazy to say this, Alex, but they were probably looking at number 7 if they hadn't lost NC State.
Yeah.
I mean, that's how big of a drop. It cost them a lot. And to have 1, 2, 3, 4 teams ahead of them with 2 losses. But again, who is Georgia Tech really beaten? Maybe that's the biggest question in the room. But look, Alex, we got to hit a break here. When we come back, we'll have Justin Lyles from Sports Cap Value to talk a little bit of gambling as we ease our way into Saturday.
Morning, Carl. Usual?
Yeah.
Your oldest was in here the other day. Said the two of you took a trip down to my neck of the woods. How'd that go?
You might as well give me one of those Carolina cars while you're at it.
I knew I liked that one.
Yeah.
There you go, my friend.
Thanks.
Hey, Carl. Congratulations.
See you tomorrow, Freddie.
You bet.
JC Sherbert here had a brilliant idea that some good friends of mine in Florence have told me about. Next time you're having a wedding or an event or anytime you got to feed a bunch of people, talk to my friends over at Flavortown Eats and Events. That's right. It's a food truck / trailer, prepares the food fresh on site right there for you. No hassle. It's absolutely delicious. They'll come out, turnkey solution to feed the masses at your event. Go to their website right now, flavortownflow.com. That's flavortownflow.com. They have all the contact information you need, and they are a proud sponsor of the Late Night Gamecock Show and the Chief Sports Network.
Welcome to Palm Casual Patio Furniture. Because we are the factory, Palm Casual has the ability to offer the highest quality outdoor furniture paired with world-class service. Since 1979, our factory showrooms have done our best to make the buying process as easy as possible for our customers. Our understanding of the many factors that go into your decision has helped us create our 30-day trial period that increases the level of comfort our customers feel during the shopping experience. Visit us in Somerville, Mount Pleasant, Myrtle Beach, and Bluffton, and online at palmcasual.com for our products in out-of-state locations. Go Gamecocks!
This is the Late Night Gamecock Show with the pride of Hampton County, Alex Jones. And with the king of late night, Matt Anderson. Go Gamecocks!
Welcome back into the Late Night Gamecock Show. It is time to bring in our favorite sports capper, Justin Lyles from sportscapvalue.com. Justin, how we doing tonight?
Good. How we doing, boys?
Yeah, guys, I always love when Justin comes in off, big news with South Carolina making a change in offensive coordinator, because remember, Justin has a day job that's actually not gambling, but he's a better gambler than he is at his regular job. I'll tell you that. And probably a better golfer too.
I enjoy gambling a lot more than working. I'll tell you that.
But, Justin, this is probably something that, number one, makes your job even harder to try and cap the Gamecocks with all this uncertainty. But number two, as a Gamecock fan, what are your thoughts on Mike Shula being let go?
Christmas came early, I guess. Santa came down the chimney in early November. Yeah, I think it was only a matter of time. You watched the game at Ole Miss on Saturday, and 7 points, really, 14, whatever. It's just not going to get it done. You get spotted a turnover, so really, I kind of look at it as 7 points. You didn't really have to go drive down the field to score that other touchdown. It was bound to happen, only a matter of time. You knew he wasn't coming back. Shula wasn't coming back prior to the Ole Miss game. This is, again, just probably the nail in the coffin. And obviously with the bye week coming up after that Ole Miss game, Beamer decided, hey, it's time to kind of scrap it and roll with what we got with the assistants. And obviously the news coming out today about receivers coach calling plays. So Fury's a good coach. I think he's one that's going to stay around beyond this season. I think he's a good recruiter, a good developer, and has earned his stripes. And I think he called plays at Limestone. So it'll be interesting to see what the flow of the offense is, the liquidity of the offense, kind of being able to move the ball down the field and see how that adjustment is made. I don't expect a whole lot, but we'll see if it just flows a little bit better, so to speak.
Yeah, Alex and I had a pretty in-depth conversation at the start of the show, just saying, look, you just got to lock Sean Elliott, Mike Furry, and Lenore Sellers in a room, and Sean Elliott say, this is what my O-line can block. Furry says, this is what my wide receivers can run. And then it's Lenore's two reads, run north to south, por favor. No more east to west. And you gotta let it go, son.
I think it's as simple as find your 10 to 15 best plays, run them, and stick with them throughout the game, because there have been times where plays have worked early on in games early this season, and you just haven't gotten back to them. And I think it can be just that simple, to be honest.
Yeah, and that's a good point. With Shula, he's kind of got the NFL background, and I think he's kind of stuck to his own ways. And really, it's kind of you scrap the playbook when you got a player of Norris's caliber, and we've got good players around him on paper. And you got to get back to the backyard football. You draw the plays on the back of a napkin, and you go with your athletes, and at the end of the day, you line up, and you just hope that our athlete's better than theirs at the end of the day.
Yeah, and I've been saying it for weeks. A&M is absolutely due to start doing A&M things at the end of the season. And the Gamecocks need that to happen because they got to win these last 3 to get to a bowl. Justin, I don't know if you caught what Alex and I were talking about right before you hopped on, but college football playoff rankings, the first of the year, were released last night. First question for you, any surprises?
No, not really. I mean, I think Virginia's fell back a little bit, right? So, I mean, I think that's because of their strength of schedule. So they're probably in a tough spot. I think they're at 11 or 14. Is it 14, I think? I don't have the list in front of me. But
yeah, I think they're 14th, yeah.
Yeah, and then BYU plays Texas Tech this weekend. So, I mean, this could be a kind of elimination game. We'll see. Georgia Tech losing last week probably hurt them a lot. But that's one of those I kind of predicted that somebody was going to get upset. And sure enough, it was Georgia Tech at NC State. Overall, I think the top 4 or 5 is what it should have been. Oregon's still hanging around that latter top part of the top 10. So yeah, still a lot of ball left. So I'm not overall not really surprised about the layout of the draw.
Yeah, and you mentioned Oregon, and for better or for worse, Oregon's one of those teams that if I was going to place a future right now, I think you probably have pretty good odds on Oregon. Are there any college football playoff winner futures that you're looking at right now, Justin? Because you kind of see the tea leaves now, right? If this happens, then that happens. And if this goes this way, then, my long shot might become, you might go from plus 900 to plus 450 in a week. So if you're playing futures, this is the time to make a decision.
Yeah, I think I mentioned this already in last week or maybe the week prior. It's Ole Miss and Georgia. Those are my 2, just from a value standpoint. If you're looking to lay something and then hopefully they win a game or 2 in the playoff, and next thing you know, they're in the semifinals, one of the teams are, and then you can maybe hedge it or whatnot. So I think from a value perspective, I'm really liking Georgia and Ole Miss. And if you really want to dig deep, maybe reach for USC. So the Trojans.
Oh. Yeah. So that's a good shout out.
Yeah. So.
Well, Justin, it's that time of the week. What other games are you tracking right now? Anything that has your antenna perked up? Remember, whatever Justin says tonight is potentially a pick on Saturday. It's potentially not. So take what he says. If you feel confident, you're like, I agree with everything Justin just said. you might get that best number tonight. But
right,
as always,
yeah. And then last week, I think that what I gave out was pretty good from a standpoint outside of Clemson and Georgia. I mean, Clemson should have won the game out, that controversial penalty. That was outside of that. And then Gunnar Stockton kneeling on the 1 yard line with nobody around him hurt. So, yeah, it is what it is. Good, would have been an unbelievable weekend. Still a nice 10-6 overall. But going into this weekend, let's see. I was pulling up all right, let's see here. I'm looking at USC minus 14, hosting Northwestern. You would think with Northwestern being 5-3 the year they're having, that this line would be a little bit closer. This to me is a line that I think USC blows them out. So I'm also looking at Mississippi State hosting Georgia, getting 8.5 at home. I like Mississippi State in this spot to keep it close. And then I've been eyeing some kind of shootouts this weekend with Charlotte and ECU over 56.5. Duke, obviously, I don't know that Clemson has much of a defense, but Duke put up 40-something points. Then they're playing UConn, and they have a really high total at over 65.5. So, Matt, I know you like to bet those unders when you see those totals that high, but I'm liking a shootout there. And then the surprising team in South Carolina, the Chanticleers, Coastal. I'm liking them hosting Georgia State. They looked impressive last week against Marshall.
Don't tell me that, Justin. The Gamecocks have them in a couple of weeks. Don't tell me that.
I'm just telling you, watch out. And then I like Vanderbilt to respond here. They're hosting Auburn. Obviously, Auburn firing Hugh Freeze. You just don't know what to make of Auburn. They're going on the road to Vanderbilt. I think Vanderbilt's built just the way that they're just built a little bit different this year. I look for them to respond and cover the 6.5. And then I'm looking at the LSU game, LSU and Alabama. I expect this to be a shootout over 49.5. LSU's kind of struggled on defense. Alabama can give up points, but we also know that both those teams can score. So I'm looking at the over 49.5.
All right, I got to ask you this one, Alex. Let me squeeze this one in, and then hopefully it's not the game you're about to mention. My wife, Florida State grad, they're traveling to the upstate this upcoming weekend. I'm just on ESPN.com, so Justin, you might have better numbers. You might be checking different books, but I have it at Clemson -2.5 and a total of 56.5. This 56.5 is an over that I think I like.
Yes, I'm with you. I almost put this on the board. I almost put that and the Clemson. Clemson is going to cover. I'm telling you, they are so due. They should have won the game against Duke. They're going to cover this weekend against Florida State somehow, some way. After Dabo's
I
rant,
thought about going to the game with the bye week, but they're going to do something different.
They're after the rant that Dabo had this week. They're covering. They're covering this week.
Well, I was going to ask you. Kind of mentioned that Auburn Vanderbilt game. Like, what's your thought process on looking at games where you're coming off a coach being fired the week before? Is it just kind of a cloudy thing where you don't know what type of team you're going to get? Where the line could be completely wrong based on, for Auburn's sake, like maybe they just kind of give in and mail in, or does DJ Durkin get them kind of motivated? Like, does it make it tough to kind of bet on those types of games?
I think it varies game to game, but that's a great question. I mean, you're really only looking at, is the team going to be motivated or not? I mean, the team's a team, and they're in that position for a reason, right? The coach got fired for a reason, right? So I don't think, you're not bringing in a new group of guys, a new group of staff to coach this, this game. So you got the same old crew. I mean, they scored 3 points against Kentucky. So, I mean, I don't know what else they're going to do against the Vanderbilt team. Obviously, they missed on the quarterback, and that's why Hugh Freeze is not the coach anymore at Auburn. I think their defense is pretty good. I would potentially look at this as under game with Vanderbilt, but Vanderbilt's shown they can score points too. So I don't know that Auburn's going to respond in this situation. Auburn had to put their name in the hat with all the other teams that fired coaches, because that's who Auburn is. So I don't look into the lines that much about with the new coach. They might get a little boost early in the game, but I don't know. I just don't see a whole lot there.
Matt, I'm going to need it for the record that I had on my list to pick the under in the Auburn-Vanderbilt game before Justin said that. I'm not cheating. I can put that on the record.
I'm sure you did, Alex. I saw you writing like a madman right then. Yeah. Well, look, I mean, Florida just, had a chance to potentially beat Georgia over the weekend. And I didn't see that coming. Alex, I think that you did, because you actually took, I think you took Florida plus the 7.5 in that game. And sure enough, it hit. So, Alex, what's your take on that question? I'd like to flip the script and ask you, how do you feel about it?
I don't know, because I think sometimes you can have it where, kind of as Justin was talking about, where teams just kind of come in and play motivated for a new coach. I think Durkin's a guy that can kind of do that. So I feel like it's just be a game where I wouldn't touch it, just because you don't know which way it's going to go.
Yeah, actually, I can't say that because I'm on this game. But I'm not going to tell you which way yet, Alex. Not going to tell you which way. So, Justin, I guess tell everybody where they can find you again real quick, because you've been on a hot streak, and I think you've had winning weeks in college football more often than not this year.
Yeah, you can find us at sportscatvalue.com. That's where we have all our daily plays for college football and NFL, and then obviously college basketball, which I don't know if we're going to talk about tonight. It'd be great to, obviously, with the game last night. And then NBA. So, yeah, we're busy day in and day out, literally. So come check us out.
Let's talk about basketball real quick, because I know you probably watched the game. I know that a lot of sports cappers and gamblers are probably mad at Eli Sparkman for some reason. I mean, all the kid did was play. God forbid, But did you have a pulse on that game at all, and how has it gone so far in the early season?
Good so far. I didn't have a play on that game. I think it was 22.5. I wanted to see what we've got on video, and but I stayed away. I think he's Paris has formed a good team, a good squad. I think you've seen a more athletic squad overall. The height is probably not there, but we have a physical group. I mean, we have some 6'8", 6'9" guys. You're just not going to see those big guys on the front court. So it's going to be interesting to see how we match up and how that kind of develops in the non-conference season, and how we're able to defend some of those bigger teams as we make our way in SEC play. Obviously, we have a lot of athletic guys, a lot of guys that can score. It's nice to see Michi back. He looks pretty good. I think Ellis looks pretty good. Eli does. And then the surrounding cast, even with Sharp, is I think it's going to be a player for us. And the fact that they had, I think, 9 guys score, I think this team has some depth to it, and that can only pay dividends in this hard SEC conference play.
Yeah, and I've said this for a long time, and especially over the last 2-3 years, the great equalizer in college basketball right now for talent deficit is shooting and age. And South Carolina seems to have both of those. Just the amount of games that a lot of these players have started in their college basketball career so far, and knowing what their role is, Lamont Paris, he wants each player to understand their role. And I think that he's got a team kind of like 2 years ago, and like the SEC is still going to be a bear. You had Texas losing by 15 to Duke last night, but Texas had the lead at halftime. You had the Florida game, the defending national champions. They lost to Arizona. I said at the beginning of the show, I thought that was a trap game for Florida. I think if I had bet that, I would take in Arizona plus the 5.5. I think that was the number. But yeah, Justin, we're going to get into basketball a lot more as time goes on. But let's go ahead and let's go. Oh, well, actually, some quick breaking news that just popped on my phone. Landon Duckworth, the high 4-star quarterback for South Carolina in this recruiting class, has shut down his recruitment entirely. He put up a social media post. He is locked in with the Gamecocks. So that's a good domino to get. You always want to have that quarterback shut things down. So I would look to see a couple other players do something similar here in the coming days. And Shane Beamer is probably going to lock those guys down. But moving on to best bets, Alex. This is a highlight of the show for me tonight. Last week, Alex, I went 3-2 to bring my overall record on the season to 20-25. So still a loser. Let's not twist anything. I'm still a loser. But I did beat you last week, Alex. You went 1-4, and your record is 24-21. So again, I would tell everybody that's watching this show that would like to dabble, follow Justin at sportscapvalue.com. Follow his team. Don't follow me and Alex because we're treading water at best right now. But Alex, if you want to go ahead with your first bet, I will write them all down, and we'll get Justin's take as we go through it.
All right, so first one I got going to Florida and Kentucky. The over-under is 43.5. I'm going under in this one. Both offenses
under 43.5 in what game?
Florida, Kentucky.
Okay.
Kentucky's offense has kind of been struggling. They scored 10 points against Auburn. Auburn's got a good defense, but I think both these offenses, a little bit struggling for me to see them get to that number.
Yeah, I'm with you. I like this. I just don't see a whole lot of points scored in this game at all. It's just, I think that's the way it's going to be. 17-13 or something like that.
That actually, I wish I had that bet on my card right here because I agree with both of you wholeheartedly. First game I have is Indiana minus 14.5 at Penn State. It's a big number. Penn State, from a talent standpoint, has Indiana beat, but at the end of the day, Indiana does Indiana things to opponents, and that offense, I don't think it's going to be slowed down at all by Penn State, a struggling Penn State team. And I think that minus 14.5, I might buy the hook here, but for the sake of this show, I'll take Indiana minus 14.5.
Yeah, you kind of took the words out of my mouth. I think I haven't really been on Indiana much this year, but they're just continuing to impress week in and week out. And I mean, they're rightfully deserving that second spot right behind Ohio State overall. I would buy the hook, like you mentioned. I think I would buy the hook here, but I do like Indiana given those points. They just are impressive. And until they not cover, I'm going to ride with them. Yeah,
and it's frustrating because I hated Indiana last year. I thought they were a gimmick, but that gimmick has not been figured out this year. Mm-hmm. And it's starting to not be a gimmick. It's just starting to be one of the most potent offenses of recent memory.
Well, that one jumped out to me too, and I had it on my list. So I'll go a different route here. I'll choose a different one. I'm going SMU is 10.5-point favorite at Boston College. I think SMU covers. Boston College is kind of a mess there. They're 1-7, I think, on this year. SMU, I just think that's a 10.5. I think they can win that game by 2 scores or more.
Yeah, I'm with you. It seems like Bill O'Brien's kind of lost that team. He's getting in arguments with the media.
Yeah.
And I was on them a couple of weeks ago. They did cover, and then I was on another week, and they did not cover. So I'm with you. I would take SMU here and just roll with it. And until Boston College shows us more, let's roll with it.
I mean, SMU should cover this number. SMU should win this game by 21, but SMU's been Jekyll and Hyde all season. There's still a couple games that jump in my crawl, mainly the Wake Forest game with the Fighting Robbie Ashford. So I love Robbie, but God, come on.
That's right. I know.
I mean, how many turnovers were in that game? Like 11? It was something ridiculous.
A lot.
Yeah.
Yeah. All right. I guess I'll go with my next pick. And we've already talked about this game a little bit earlier, but where is it? I want to make sure I get the teams right. So Justin, I hate this. I'm going against you on this particular game. Georgia is an 8.5-point favorite at Mississippi State. Last week, I was on Mississippi State plus 4.5. They won the game outright, but Georgia is, as long as Georgia doesn't do stupid crap like Gunnar Stockton did last week, they should cover this number. I got Georgia winning by 10 plus.
How do I want to say this? I mean, Georgia's has traditionally this season come out on a slow start. They've really struggled in the first half in games, and then I don't know what happens at the halftime. Maybe Kirby Smart is that gives the best halftime speeches of anybody outside of Nick Saban, which is no longer coaching. So Mississippi State's different this year, I think. I mean, I think they've improved a lot. They've got one of our former coaches as their DC, Coleman Hutzler, and I don't know. I just think Mississippi State could hang in there, and this could go down to the wire. Georgia seems to be playing a lot of close games, so maybe you're right here.
You go to Florida. You go back to Auburn.
Yeah,
it's one of those things where Georgia has to start getting style points, and I'll be happy to be wrong on this one. And look, I like Mississippi State. I really do. I think that they've been due for SEC wins for a couple weeks now, for sure. And I don't know, maybe this cowbells just annoy the hell out of Gunnar Stockton and he loses his mind. But maybe he loses his mind and he actually scores instead of taking a knee at the 1-yard line.
Why? I mean, I don't understand that, man. I just don't get that. That's like the guy in basketball. Your team's down 15 and you want to dribble and shoot a 3-pointer. It's like, what are we doing? You know?
Do you know what, man? It's the mafia has gotten into college football. That's what's happened. Just like the NBA, Gunnar Stockton's throwing games. He's winning, but he's not covering.
Well, what made that so bad too was like prior to that, Florida defensive lineman jumps off sides, so it's really like 3rd and 5, and assuming Florida stops them instead of it being 4th and 1, they just kick a field goal and a push at 7. But instead, it's like 4th and inches or a yard or whatever, and then quarterback sneaks it for that. It's just weird stuff happens, and it is what it is. So that's why you got to trust the unit system.
Yeah, absolutely.
All right, so that's another one that you stole from me. I think you checked my notes, but I actually found another one while I was sitting here that I would choose for that one, or instead of Georgia game. Louisville is, I got it, 20.5-point favorite over Cal. Cal's going to cover in that game. Louisville wins, but I think Cal covers that number.
Yeah, I love you. I love it. I love it. I love it. I love it. I love it.
I hate it. I hate it. I hate it. I swear this is.
I'm on a roll. I'm feeling good.
I love it for you, Alex. I mean, I'm not even on that game, but that just makes me question every pick I've ever made when both of you guys are on it. And it's like your third pick, like your third alternate.
Do we think Louisville gets in the playoffs? Think Louisville can make it?
They can't. I don't think they can have another loss.
I think they can win out, though. I mean,
I think they can, but I mean, just with the way the ACC kind of strength of schedule is right now, like Kentucky win or at the end of the year is not going to help them any. Like they can't suffer another one.
Yeah,
they got to win the ACC championship, and I really think the ACC is going to be a 1-bid league anyway this year. Look at us talking about bids in college football. Do want to say, Justin, I don't know if this crept into your mind, but Mad Dog Phil is our producer tonight, so he's in the background of the chat box. And going back to this Georgia game, Justin, Phil said the point differential is a tiebreaker in SEC standings, so that was a dumb play. So let's say Georgia's tied with other teams. It was not a smart play, even if the old saying, you go down, you can't lose. Well, yeah, you might lose out in the SEC championship game, but maybe they don't care.
See, that's the stats we have. Well, that's how the high level stuff we have here on the Late Night Gamecock show. I did not know that. That's a good point.
Yeah,
that's what Kirby gets. That's what he gets for not punching it in. So, and that's the thing too with the SEC teams. It's not divisions anymore. It's your top two teams, right? They're playing for the championship, so conference championship. So.
Well, Phil just wrecked Justin's entire algorithm now. Now he has to add that factor in for point differential.
Coaches that say they don't look at the lines, they're lying to you.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, James Franklin would celebrate covering, man. He would celebrate it like nobody's business. Do
you hear what I said? Lane Kiffin, he mentions it in the post game every time.
He knows it. Yeah, he knows it. He's got a GA that's just saying, "Hey, what's the final line?" Okay, got it. That's why, dude. I've been saying it for years on this show. I will take Ole Miss to cover almost every game because Lane is trying to cover. He's not. Mm-hmm. He's going to try and score every time he gets the ball. But so this next game was a little tricky for me. I'd love to get y'all's take on it. Texas A&M travels to Missouri. A&M is a 6.5 point favorite. By last count or last research, I still think the quarterback from Missouri is out, and if he's out, this A&M minus 6.5, I'm going to take it. But like I said, it's time for A&M to start doing A&M things. So it scares me, but give me the Aggies minus 6.5.
Yeah, I don't know about this game. Missouri is just kind of out there, in no man's land. Yet they're a good team, and obviously losing the quarterback hurt them a lot. But Eli just seems to find a way to get guys to play well. So, I mean, is this a night game? I don't know what the time is. I haven't looked.
3:30.
Okay, so it's probably on the ABC at 3:30, my guess.
ABC 3:30. I guess it would actually be 2:30 our time, but A&M and Missouri on that same clock.
That's true. I don't know with the points. I mean, it's just 6.5. I don't know. This is probably a stay away for me, but I mean, I'm with you. Like A&M at some points got to play a tough game. Like they haven't really played a tough game yet. Mm-hmm. Like a close nail biter outside of Notre Dame. They won that on the 4th down they converted, but other than that, they really haven't been tested.
There's a little bit in me that feels like A&M's due for some type of loss in this game. I feel like Missouri, like Drinkwood's kind of seen his name pop out there in these coaching circles. Like kind of just feels like, I don't want to say a trap game because Missouri's good and a ranked team, but it just kind of feels like a trap game a little bit for Missouri A&M.
A&M's going to A&M, y'all. I'm telling you, I don't know when it's going to happen, but they will. But Alex, we got 2 more. We got to get through these. Let's go a little quicker here if we can, just for time's sake. I don't want to keep everybody till midnight.
I am going to Florida State Clemson next. Over under 56.5. I'm going under in this one.
Ooh, we got a little battle here between the two, between Matt and Alex.
I didn't pick it. But
Clemson hasn't shown anything on defense, and it's I don't know here. I think I'm picking Clemson to win the game. The total, if I had to, I'm going to side with the over here. I guess we'll have to disagree for once, Alex.
Yeah, I know.
Hey, I love that, actually. Y'all disagree more, please. Look, with this, my best call, and I know I said I was going to get fast, but I'm going to give myself some flowers here. My best call of the season, Alex, you can vouch for me. I said Clemson wasn't going to be a top 25 team at the end of the year because they didn't beat anybody last year, and all they did was pay the same kids to come back. And there was so much entitlement, so much everything. I told you Cade wasn't a top 7 quarterback on the Gamecocks schedule. So I'm gonna take my round of applause there. We talked about this game earlier too. This is Oregon and Iowa. It's a 3:30 game on CBS. Oregon's a 6.5 point favorite. I mentioned earlier that Oregon is my dark horse to win the national title. So I just don't think that Iowa can score more than 13 points. and I think that Oregon will find a way to get to 21. So give me Oregon minus 6.5.
Yeah, I'm with you. I like Oregon here. I don't know that like overall winning the title until Dan Lanning proves it. He hasn't really won big games yet when it comes down to it. He's made the playoffs, and obviously they were number 1 seed last year, and they got bounced by Ohio State, as everybody did. But until he really takes that next step, I'm gonna kind of be a little hesitant on playing any futures on Oregon. But I do like him in this game against Iowa.
All right, Alex, what's your last one?
My last one, I'm going to Tuscaloosa for LSU, Alabama. Actually got this one at 9.5, so I'm going Alabama covering the 9.5.
Look at Alex. He's shopping the lines, Justin. He's a pro now.
Yeah, he is. He's learning quickly. He's a sharp. I don't. This is another like you asked me earlier about the coaches.
Yeah.
Losing the coach. Like you don't know how. I think LSU is pretty good on paper. This is one that I would look for LSU to play pretty well here. I mean, I think a lot of people didn't like Brian Kelly. I think there's a lot of talent on that team, but we'll see how the offense and defense kind of runs. They gave a lot of points against A&M, and Alabama can score, so we'll see.
Yep, I agree with both of y'all. Actually, I think that maybe Justin wins the 10.5 with LSU, and Alex wins the 9.5 with Bama.
Yeah.
So, but I think Justin actually likes the over in this game more than a side. So put that in your back pocket. The last game that I have, we talked about it earlier. I'm taking Vanderbilt minus 6.5 at home against Auburn. I think that Auburn is a paper tiger, and I think Auburn's been a paper tiger for a long time. Vanderbilt, like Justin said, plays that edge. Vanderbilt's playing for something they've never even come close to sniffing, which is a spot in the college football playoff, and they still have an outside chance to get in there. So I think Vanderbilt is going to be locked in the rest of the way. So give me Vanderbilt minus 6.5.
Yeah, I mentioned this earlier. I'm with you. I think what they did is what South Carolina needs. You got to go find that offensive coordinator, that can change your program, and that's what they did, and they've done that well. And so we'll see how that shapes us going forward in the future, and we can talk about that at a later time. But I do like Vanderbilt in this spot.
So, Justin, before I let you get out of here tonight, with college basketball coming up, do you have a favorite sport to cap, or is it just you plug the numbers and roll with it? Do you have or is there a favorite one to watch while you have your ticket in hand?
No, not really. I mean, I think football is probably I do the best in, and NFL is my favorite. I think I'm probably the best at that. But college basketball is just a whirlwind. It's really, I enjoy it day in and day out. But if I had to pick, I'd probably go NFL. But they're all, I mean, every day is a battle, and I enjoy it. It's a grind, but it's what I do, and I love it.
Yeah, I'm there with you with the NFL as far as gambling goes. I just think that you're dealing with actual professionals, and like NBA, God knows what's happening in that league right now. I think that's a ridiculously hard league to bet and be successful, honestly. College basketball, a little bit less so, but NFL, I think that if you have, good information, you can be pretty successful at the NFL because pros are going to be pros.
That's right.
So, and that's why, outside of college football, college basketball, from a professional sport, NFL is my favorite sport to watch. I like that over college football, which might be a controversial take, but I think it's a cleaner game, a better game, and all that jazz. And plus, I love fantasy football. So,
there's a reason that it's the most viewed sport, most popular sport in the world, especially in the United States. So, yeah.
Well, how about this? Really quick, guys. God, I said I was going to let y'all leave. But Game 7 of the World Series actually outdrew from an audience number the Super Bowl. That's crazy.
That's crazy.
I'm not sure we're going to see a better World Series ever, at least in our lifetimes.
That was incredible.
Yeah, it was. Game 6 was unbelievable. Game 7, I mean, then they played 18 innings, and I can't remember what game it was, game 3 or 4.
Yeah.
And so it's just – and then Ohtani doing his thing, Yamato doing his thing, and then Toronto just a play away from winning it. It's just wild how that ended up like the way it did.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, Justin, tell everybody again where they can find you.
Yes, sportscapvalue.com. Go check it out. Get our daily plays. college basketball off and running now. Football, we're up to week 11 already. I can't believe it's flown by that fast. So, I think it was over 60 units in college basketball last year. So we'll look to do that, if not better, hopefully. Fingers crossed. So, thanks, Matt, and thanks, Alex, for having me, and see you next week.
Yep. See you next week, Justin. Thanks so much, friend. All right, Alex. I think we've said it all tonight. Any parting shots on your end?
No, I mean, that was a whole lot of fun tonight. It's like I said right at the top, it's getting into that kind of crazy season where both sports are getting going, football and basketball. But hey, it gives us a bunch to talk about, and appreciate everybody being on here again.
Yeah, for sure. I want to shout out Brian Harrison, EXO, Matthew Sellers, Jeff, Gary, just Bender, looking through the folks that made comments in here. Look, we love your comments. And we always are happy to answer any questions. We're very much go with the flow. That's what late night's all about. And that's especially what Rooster Rant's for. Just a quick note, there will be no Rooster Rant this Sunday night. There's no football game to rant about. So no Rooster Rant, but we'll see you all a week from tonight. And again, thank y'all so much for being a part of this show tonight. When you hang out with us, you give us the most valuable thing you have, your time. And we will never not forget that. So we will be back next. Check my math here. Gamecocks have a home game next Wednesday, so Alex will be covering that game. You might be stuck with me and Justin next week. We'll probably still try and do it Wednesday night, so just to keep our schedule going. So Alex, I'm sure everyone can find you on the Chief Sports Network. I think you have tomorrow is that the Smorgasburg?
Yeah, tomorrow probably going to be around noon tomorrow. So
all right, well, to get your Alex Jones fix, make sure you check him out tomorrow around noon on JC and Phil's show. And I'll be on it's not really the preview show this week. I don't know what we're going to talk about on Friday, but I'll be on the show Friday at 11. I think it's 11. Yeah, 11. And I'll be back Wednesday. So thank y'all so much. Don't forget Gamecock baseball tomorrow night in Charleston with our good friend Chad Holbrook and the Charleston Cougars. So if you're in the area, go out there. It's only $10 to get in. And give us a report. Let us know what you think about the baseball team because that season will be here before you know it. So, again, for myself, Matt Anderson, the Late Night Gamecock, and Alex Jones of the BigSpur.com, we wish you all a great evening, and we will talk to you soon. Bye, everybody.